The convent of the Sisters of Reparation, a place of silent prayers and deep contemplation, stood as a beacon of peace and solitude. Within its ancient walls, the sisters dedicated their lives to spiritual devotion, seeking solace and divine connection. It was a regular night in October of 1902. The convent of the Sisters of Reparation was silent, just like any other night of prayers and contemplation. But that early morning something pierced the calm like an invisible blade. Sister Maria da Cruz, with decades of consecrated life behind her, suddenly awoke with a deep, unshakable feeling. She was no longer alone. A whisper echoed through the stone corridor. It wasn't the wind, it wasn't footsteps. It was a plea. A hoarse, desperate voice calling out for help. At first she thought she was imagining it, but the same sound returned on the following nights, always at the same hour, always the same anguished moan. Then, one of those nights, while kneeling before the Blessed Sacrament, Sister Maria da Cruz experienced something she never dared to share publicly. A presence revealed itself in the stillness of the chapel. She saw, with the eyes of the soul, what can only be described as a pale, gentle light, yet heavy with sorrow. A female figure wrapped in white veil stood before her, not with fear in her eyes, but with thirst, a thirst for God. And then she spoke. "I am Sister Maria Gabriela. I lived among you. I died in February of 1871. And ever since I have been in a place where God's light does not yet shine upon me. I need your help." In that moment, Sister Maria da Cruz had no doubt. She understood this was not a product of imagination, fatigue, or excessive devotion. It was real. And if it was real, it was God who allowed it. The weeks that followed were intense. Each night, Sister Maria Gabriela returned, not just to ask for prayers, but to transmit messages, teachings, answers, revelations that no theology book had ever taught Sister Maria da Cruz. She began to record everything in secret, a diary, a silent testimony of something that brushed the supernatural. Among all the messages, one kept repeating with urgency, "Sister Maria Gabriela. There are souls in purgatory that can only find peace when a specific person prays for them. Sometimes it's a family member, sometimes a friend, but often it's a stranger, a chosen one." These words left Sister Maria da Cruz deeply moved. Who are these chosen ones? How can we know? How are they found? And more unsettling and beautiful, what if I am that person? Today, over a century later, the writings of Sister Maria da Cruz have been uncovered and studied by theologians and religious scholars. Surviving fragments reveal full conversations with Sister Maria Gabriela, dialogues about what happens to the soul after death, about the moment the spirit separates from the body, about judgment, divine mercy, and justice, about how the soul sees its sins with brutal clarity right after the final breath. And among these revelations, one astounding truth still echoes today. Sometimes a soul in purgatory is waiting for just one specific prayer from one specific person, an ordinary person, who unknowingly feels a calling, a tug, a video, a strange sensation in their heart. Perhaps you, yes, you who are watching this right now. This may not be just coincidence. Perhaps at this very moment a soul is waiting for you. The mission. The nights continued. Sister Maria da Cruz, now fully convinced of the mission she had been entrusted with, began to prepare herself with even more fervor. She fasted, prayed for long hours, and kept the diary hidden under her straw mattress, fearing that the other sisters might not understand what was happening. But God, who sees all and permits all, gave her strength. And with each appearance of Sister Maria Gabriela, more questions were asked, and more answers were received. "What is purgatory like?" she asked one night. The answer came after a long silence. Then, gently, "Sister Maria Gabriela, purgatory is thirst for God. There is no devil here, no hatred, no condemnation. But there is a hunger for light, a hunger that burns like fire, a hunger that screams within the soul. Every memory of God's love that we ignored, that we forgot, becomes pain." Sister Maria Gabriela explained that the souls in purgatory see their faults with extreme clarity. They don't need to be judged by another. They see themselves as if facing a mirror of eternity. They feel the weight of what they could have done and didn't. the good they neglected, the love they rejected. There are no masks, no excuses, only truth, and the longing for God's embrace. On another night, the question was more direct. Do prayers truly help? The response came with invisible tears. Sister Maria Gabriela. Without the prayers of the living, many souls would remain forgotten for years, even centuries. Every Hail Mary is like a drop of water for a soul that burns. Every Holy Communion offered is a breath of relief. Every Mass, a liberation. That's when Sister Maria da Cruz realized something even deeper. There are souls with no one on earth praying for them. People who died forgotten, without family, without friends, with no name remembered. And for these souls, God awakens chosen intercessors. People who, in a mysterious way, are touched by an invisible call, a dream, a thought, a video like this. Yes, you may be that intercessor. It may seem small, it may seem symbolic, but a single prayer from you can liberate a soul that's been crying in silence for decades. God chooses whomever He wills. And if you felt something while watching this video up to this point, don't ignore it, because maybe this is not just a video. Maybe it's an echo from heaven crossing time, looking for someone with an open heart. So, if this story is touching your heart in any way, subscribe to this channel, not just for us, but as an act of faith, a response to this invisible call that may be happening right now in your life. Comment below by writing the name of someone who has passed away. You don't need to explain, just write it. It could be your grandmother, your uncle, someone you lost, or even someone you barely knew, because right now, a soul may be waiting for that. And if you can, share this video with someone who, like you, carries faith in their heart. Sometimes, it's through one click that a silent prayer becomes an eternal relief for a forgotten soul. The conversations between Sister Maria da Cruz and Sister Maria Gabriela continued for years. Sometimes the presence was gentle, almost imperceptible. Other times it felt like a weight of eternity hanging in the air, undeniable. And over time, Sister Maria da Cruz came to understand not only the pain of purgatory, but also the beauty of God who hides Himself until the soul is ready to see Him. In one of the last nights recorded in her diary, Sister Maria da Cruz asked, "What is the greatest suffering of a soul in purgatory?" The answer came without hesitation. Sister Maria Gabriela, not seeing God. It wasn't the fire, it wasn't the solitude, it was the absence of the divine presence. The soul's heart knows it was created to love, to see, to unite with the Creator. But there, in purgatory, that encounter is still postponed, and every second of that absence feels like an eternal ache. That same night, Sister Maria Gabriela shared something even more moving. Sister Maria Gabriela, Mary comes to us. Not always, not for everyone. But on certain feast days, the Blessed Virgin walks through purgatory, and with God's permission, takes with her the souls most ready for heaven. When she appears, the fire seems to cease, and a peaceful silence covers the place. She does not speak much, but her mere presence is enough. These apparitions are not mere devotional fantasies. They've been reported by saints, mystics, and now by a humble sister who lived her mission in silence, interceding for souls. Sister Maria da Cruz understood before her own death that life on earth is far too short to waste on distractions. Every prayer, every act of love, every small sacrifice, they all become bridges between heaven and the forgotten souls. And she knew this mission was not hers alone. It was meant to be continued by others, by us, by you. Now that we've made it this far together, I invite you to look inward. Silence your thoughts for a moment and listen. Is there a soul asking something of you? Did a name come to your heart while you watched this story? Perhaps it's time to respond. Don't ignore the call. You might not see with your physical eyes, but your soul knows when something is true. Pray for that soul. Say a Hail Mary, light a candle. Go to Mass with that intention. Maybe you'll never know the impact it had, but in heaven, everything is remembered. Everything counts, and every act of love opens eternal doors. Sister Maria da Cruz didn't write these testimonies to be remembered. She left them because the souls are still crying out. And as she once said, the prayer of someone who believes crosses walls, time, and even purgatory. If this message touched your heart, Leave a candle emoji in the comments. It might seem symbolic, but it's your way of saying, I heard, I'm here, I will pray. Let's turn this comment section into a digital chapel of intercession. One flame for every soul still waiting to be remembered. And if you feel led to do so, share this video. Maybe with someone from your family, your prayer group, or even a stranger. You could be the channel through which another soul is touched too. Heaven is waiting, and God, with patience and love, is waiting for your response.